I'm going to call to order the Board of Selectmen regular meeting Monday, August 12th at 7:08 p.m. Our first our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, there we go. All right. Item 2, additions and changes to the agenda. Do any of the members, Board of Selectmen members, have any changes they'd like to make? All right, hearing none, I'll move on to item 3, public speak. So I'll go around the list. I'll start with Kathy Palazzi.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to just read a little bit here. I want to thank the following people who have done an outstanding job with our new community and senior center. And actually, I'm using CSC for all my calendar issues for the transportation, because everyone knows now, the seniors know, that it's the community and senior center. So anyway, having said that, the first thing I want to say is Adrian Mandeville. I want to thank all these following people who have done an outstanding job with our new community and senior center. Adrian Mandeville for leading the charge with preparing for an architect and construction builders, for all the hours he spent trying to get the building ready to be built. There were a lot of background work and hours that I know for a fact that Adrian was involved in that. I'd also like to thank the building committee who met monthly to try and have the best possible building for the town and our $1 million that we had from the state. Or maybe that was federal. I better not say that. Ed Risley, chairman, did a great job organizing us, and Diane Croquette was our secretary. Members were Don Denley, Herb Stanley, Karen Hunter, Scott Person, Jeff Murray, and Mike and Kathy Palazzi. I hope I didn't forget anyone. The Recreation Committee, I'd like to thank them for Saturday, or for everything they do, but for Carol Lee, our chairman, she's unbelievable. She works so hard. Kim Hawes and Anne-Marie Daigle. And I also apologize that I do not know the names of our other Recreation Committee members, and I'll make it a point to find out who they are. So I do apologize to any of you that I have omitted. Everyone worked very, very hard, furnishing the food and the beverage, decorating and games for the kids, cleaning up afterwards. It was a great, great event. Diane Croquette and Kathy DeRozier, I'd like to thank them for decorating the community and senior center. It looks wonderful. To Paula King, our senior liaison and our select person who organized the entire event, inviting our representative Steve Weir and Senator M.D. Raymond. Rahman maybe. It's always nice to see them in Andover. The decorations look very nice, and inside, Paula organized wine and cheese table and tours, and for all of the people to view the building, outside games and food and beverages for everyone. Great job, Paula. And beautiful, by the way, a beautiful agenda. I really like the program. So that's a memory. I shall keep it. Jeff Murray and Ann Creme, selectmen, for giving tours and answering so many questions. My goodness. Scott Person, who followed up on all the details with regards to the building, spending hours there talking with the builder, making sure we had everything needed, meeting with Eric for hours of his personal time. Jeff McGuire, our first selectman, who did an excellent job opening and closing the grand opening event. Excellent work and hard work by all. And thanking our town administrator for taking over Adrian's job when he became ill. Eric did outstanding work and dedication to an important project. Huge kudos from our Andover seniors, Eric. They enjoyed having a private walkthrough on Friday and meeting our new senior director. Thank you to Roland Brickholt for, for building the seniors a beautiful table. Tio Anson for her beautiful, lovely needlepoint scarf for the table. And we are having beautiful flowers from Two Sums Farm. Aaron is the owner every 2 weeks. So it's going to be just wonderful there. And to our beautification committee for the lovely plantings in front of the building, Kathy DeRosia, Bill DeRosia, Valerie Girabati, Lorraine Liswell, Lorraine Westenberg, and Joan and Jim Ross. And also I want to thank Christine Randazzo for the beautiful landscaping and tree that she planted. That's really nice. I think it's going to be gorgeous next year. And to the Public Works Department for their help with all the work they did there on the site, trying to put together our, what do we call that little wall that we have? I know there's a name for it. And especially thank you to everyone who attended. It was a great occasion and fun for our town. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're muted, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Mike, do you have anything to add?
No, she said enough.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Shannon Loudon.
First of all, I want to echo what Kathy just said. It was a terrific event, and thank you to everybody, all those who put it together, all those who did the center. It just really reflected well on Andover, and I really enjoyed it. Now to get on to what's happening tonight. I just want to say, in addition to my strong opposition to many of the proposed charter revisions, about which I'm already on the record, I believe that a few of the questions that were put on the website are confusing and maybe even somewhat misleading. But before I get to that, I just had thought of one additional argument in reviewing the proposed changes to the charter about why appointing the town clerk might be a bad idea. In reviewing it, it looks as though the brand new Board of Selectmen who have just been elected 2 weeks after they're elected are going to then be responsible for appointing a critical position of the town clerk. That means that potentially 3 people could be deciding on that position, but it also could be 3 brand new people who have just been recently elected and maybe don't have the background to be able to make such a selection. So I think that's another reason that I would object to or oppose appointing the town clerk position. With regard to question number C, as it's worded, I think it's very misleading because it suggests that the Board of Selectmen's authority might be curtailed or limited instead of accurately reflecting or detailing the proposed transfer of authorization to enact town ordinances from the town meeting to the Board of Selectmen. So I think that specific question and the one after it need more detail so that they're not confusing or misleading to the public when they go to vote on these very important questions come November. And finally, I think the last question is one of the longest run-on sentences I've ever read, and that's saying something for a lawyer. I think it should be broken into at least 3 questions, possibly. One about 304D, one about section 1008, and the other about maybe some minor amendments and provisions. I really don't think that 304D, the changes there, and 1008 are relatively minor amendments and provisions. I think that they're more substantial and therefore deserve potentially their own questions. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Shannon. Linda Fish.
Hi, just here to listen.
Got it. Diane Grenier. You're muted. Unmute. Unmute. Nope, still not working. All right, you work on that and you try to come back. We're not hearing you. At least I don't think I'm the only one not hearing you. So you keep working on your stuff. I'll move on to someone. Catherine McGaldy Lewis. Ask to unmute.
That work?
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
Thanks. I just want to say that I agree with all of Shannon's points. And it makes no sense. As I said before, I didn't really matter to me whether it was appointed. They were good and bad to both appointing or electing the town clerk. But if it reads as though every 4 years a new board is going to come in and perhaps decide to get a new town clerk, makes zero sense. The whole point was to hopefully get someone that would stay on for a while. So every 4 years doesn't make sense. I'm kind of disappointed, not kind of, I'm very disappointed in the Board of Selectmen that they went through, because Jeff, you had said to everyone, we don't actually have a charge. We're going to listen to what the residents want. Well, every single one of us, including myself, stood up and said, no, this is not what we want as far as the ordinances, and you guys voted on it anyway. So that was very disappointing. And one of the other reasons that you said about the town clerk was that nobody comes forward. And I do believe that you have had people come forward, and instead of choosing those people, you had a couple of people. There was one person in particular that came before the Board of Finance, and she was turned down, and they went with someone that they have known for a while. I put my name in for the charter, and to me, it just kind of made sense that if you had someone on board that has been on a charter commission before, that rewrote every single line of the charter, so kind of knew it backwards and forwards. To my mind, if it was a business and the manager was saying, hey, we're going to redo this and we'd like somebody who knows something, you would choose that person. And none of us even got a letter or anything to say thanks, but no thanks. So I think you do have people that are willing. It's just having them be chosen. So that's it.
All right. All right, thank you. There's a phone number that ends in 6988.
That is me and Patty.
Hi, do you guys have anything to say? I'll go through the Charter Revision Commission in public speak.
No, just we can't. We're good. We don't have anything for public speak.
All right, no problem. Bob Hamburger.
Nothing to add at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Karen Mador.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry, Jerry Creme, I missed you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm here now. I read through the charter revisions many times over, and I have to say that the only one I can support is the first one that aligns our elections with the state of Connecticut. The rest of them really bother me. I can't support them because it takes away the power of the town meeting and the residents themselves. And I think that's one of the things that makes us unique, is that residents can get together, have a town meeting, and can make decisions together. And on top of that, I mean, to give the selectmen more power, I think you're taking the power away from the people and you're giving it to the selectmen. Now, I have a relative on the Board of Selectmen, and I wouldn't want to see her have that power. I would rather have the people of the town vote and elect and pass ordinances and whatever needs to be done. You've got a great town here. We've got a great town here. You saw by the turnout at the festivities on Saturday afternoon. I mean, people will come out and people will support what they want to. And I think that you need to do something about the last revisions that you got on this paper after the first one, because I can't support it because of that.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
No problem. Diane Grenier,
Am I back?
you are. We can hear you.
Technologies. Okay. I just wanted to say I agree with Kathy Palazzi. Thank you very much. And Shannon about thank you to everybody that made the community senior center a reality. It's a thing of beauty. It's something that I think all Andover residents are going to be really proud of. And I was delighted to have a tour preview on Friday with the seniors. And like I say, it's a great thing. I especially like the view of the community garden. All off the back windows. It's highlights that garden and all the work that those people have been doing. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So again, I just want to add my thank you to all that were involved. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Adrian, would you like to say anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I actually want to say, although I didn't make it to the ceremony on Saturday for medical things, I wanted to say I'm glad that the community was able to turn out so well, and I appreciate everyone that pitched in when I had to step back. But I especially want to give Eric some credit. Eric, you did a great job, and I know it was a lot of work. And if you hadn't stepped in, it would have cost us an arm and a leg. So once again, you saved the town some spending, and you know, we can't thank you enough. But more importantly, I think that as a town resident, it was just as important to you as it is to all of us. So as a, you know, it makes a difference that you're not just our town manager, but you live here. So we appreciate that, everything you did, you know. And I will say, as a former or previous charter commission chair, before this most recent one, I feel like we had a pretty good group. And I know that some of the things can be confusing. Maybe we need to look at that or make some changes on the wording, but in general speak, I think, you know, that's the whole point of this. That's why I have a meeting tonight, but that's the whole point of the layers. You know, it goes from the Charter Commission back to the Board of Selectmen, and if it needs to go back to the Charter Commission, well, that's what we're here for tonight. So that's the point of the process. It works. Just have to let it work. That's all I got.
All right, thank you very much. Did I miss anyone else? I don't think I did, but I just want to make sure. Okay. We're going to move on to item 4, which is related to the charter revision. There are A, B, C, and D related to the charter revision, but I'm going to sit there and go to the Charter Revision Commission. So what the Board of Selectmen did at their meeting when we reviewed the draft was there was a comment from one of the residents regarding the 10% requirement for a referendum total number. And we had requested, and since I'm on both of these, I'm going to speak two different ways, but we had requested that 10% number be dropped so that there is no threshold for the number of voters that would be needed at a referendum if an ordinance was up. So if only 5 residents came to a referendum and those 5 voted no, it would not pass. So the number was 10%. That would reference about 250 to 220 residents would be required to vote. If 219, as Mrs. Hutchinson gave as an example, 219 showed up, all voted no, it still would go into effect because it didn't meet the 10% threshold. So the Board of Selectmen would like to remove that wording from the draft, and we had approved the remainder of the draft as is. So that's what we're looking to vote on today for the Charter Revision Commission, because Dennis, and correct me if I'm wrong, if the Charter Revision Commission moves to have that wording changed, then the draft was accepted by the Board of Selectmen, and then we need to go to drafting questions. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty much accurate. I think it's laid out in the agenda. The first item is, as you've already begun, as first selectman and a member of the Charter Revision Commission, there's one item that was changed by the Board of Selectmen from the draft report finalized previously by the Charter Revision Commission, and it just eliminates some language that is included in the agenda. And the first item is to discuss that with the Charter Revision Commission. And the second item is for the Charter Revision Commission to vote as to whether to go along with the Board of Selectmen and remove that language from the draft charter.
Okay. All right. So Bob, as the charter revision committee commission chairperson, I'm going to put this on you right now.
Honestly, while I'm still formally chair, I think I should continue to relinquish the chairmanship to one of the other members because of my diminished health at this point. So if the vice chair, if Carol would like to speak up and take it from here, I think that would be appropriate.
Carol, this is really quick. If you would like, I will do it.
Okay, that would be great. You can propose what the Board of Selectmen voted on with reducing that amount, and then we can just call the vote. Okay?
That'd be great. So
All right.
I'm going to, as a charter revision commission member, I am going to make a motion that we remove the 10% of registered voters of the town requirement in referendums related to the ordinance referendum requirement. Someone like to second that?
I will
I'll
second the
second.
motion.
All right,
Thank you,
Karen,
Karen.
thank you. Discussion on this point?
Yes,
Charter Revision Commission members. Yes, Adrian.
actually, it's Jody.
Oh, Jody, hi.
How are you, Jeff? My
Good, how are
question
you?
for you is, at a town meeting today, is there a minimum number of individuals that need to be at a town meeting for that to be an effective event, or to be an event that is there 25 requirement of 25 or 50 people at a town meeting?
25.
25.
A quorum of 25.
Okay, so what the Board of Selectmen are asking us to do is have a referendum. If 5 people show up for a referendum, then that's fine. I guess that's right.
That is actually what is being requested. And Jody, just from a technical standpoint, there's no way that there's only going to be there's 2 votes that these could take place in. There's the vote for the budget, and if the charter issues pass, then the 2 budgets are consolidated. So the RAM budget and the town budget vote would be consolidated.
Got it.
That's
So I got it. So what you're essentially saying is, by virtue of when they happen, there's going to be a big bolus of people in town coming.
Correct.
Got it. So effectively, we're going to hit that 10% regardless.
Well,
So
you may not.
Why not remove it is really the thinking, or based on that resident's comment, you guys thought it would be best to just remove it.
Yeah, we're just trying to make it as flexible as possible for the residents to sit there and Mrs. Hutchinson made a good point. If there's a threshold and you get right below the threshold and they all vote no, then the item still goes into effect because it was below the threshold. Now, your point was very well taken in that we have 25 people that are required to show up at a town meeting, or it doesn't take effect. So I understand where you're coming from. I don't think the number, Jody.
I'm completely in favor of removing it. Yet I think I'll take the stand here while I have the voice here. I honestly think this is better for the town. A referendum is a much better mechanism than a town meeting. I personally was unable to attend a 7 p.m. meeting at the last town meeting, and as a citizen, I think a referendum is typically a larger full day vote on something. So I think it's better governing to actually have it in referendum. So anyhow, I just wanted to add that little sentiment. So I'm in favor of it.
Here.
Any other discussion on the 10%? Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I have just a general question, which I guess I would direct to Dennis about this. Is there anything in the Connecticut general statutes with regard to any type of referendum where there is a minimum vote requirement?
Well, you and I talked over the weekend about, you asked me about the 7 dash, I can't remember the name, the number of the, there is a requirement for referendum under general statutes, yes. But like, as I told you before, when you have a charter, it's a Home Rule Act charter, and you you can make up any kind of a system that you want in that regard, as long as it is not something that would be of statewide importance. In other words, important to all towns and whatnot. And there's very few items. It's the same law that enabled us last year to bifurcate our referendum into if there's a second go round, into Board of Education on the one hand and town government on the other hand, separate referendums. That in the statutes talk about a unitary referendum, but when you have a Home Rule Act charter, it gives you the opportunity to change it. So this is different from the statute regarding referendums in general. It's also a different system. This is only a limited referendum that would be called on the basis of a petition against an ordinance that had been enacted by the Board of Selectmen. So in particular, there's nothing really in the statutes governing this type of particular situation. So this is
Right.
something new.
What I think I'm getting at here, Dennis, is that if we don't explicitly state something to the contrary, then don't the Connecticut general statutes apply?
No, not true. Not exactly. No. You mean say it right out in the charter that this is not going along with one of the Connecticut general statutes? No, I think if you did that, Bob, about all the Connecticut general statutes that don't apply when you have a charter, you have a long charter that covers a lot of items. There's an awful lot of items that are covered in the general statutes regarding how a town managers, there's items about everything that are overruled by a Home Rule Act charter, and you don't have to say expressly that this is contrary to what the statutes say. It's not a problem. I have no
Okay, let's just go this way. It's section 7-157 Connecticut General Statutes. It talks about 15% of electors need to petition to send to referendum. It's a state statute. That's great. 15%. We're making it 0. So we are making it more flexible and giving more opportunity for the town to make a decision. We're not going higher. We're not saying you need 20 or 30%. So to me, let's look at it this way. When I was talking about who is going to take umbrage at this, the state of Connecticut is going to come and say you wanted to put a pet ordinance on your books, and you didn't take 15% of the electorate to show up, and it therefore doesn't go into effect. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me, Bob. I told you that the last time when we talked about it, that we're doing it and we're being more flexible for the residents of the town. We're giving the town voters more flexibility, not less flexibility.
I understand
But
completely what you're saying.
Bob's
And
point is, Jeff, there's nothing explicitly said in our charter. So he's asking, is it a default? So we didn't say 0%.
Yeah,
That's not what the Board of
default.
Selectmen's asking for. They're asking for silence, nothing.
Well, we're
Right.
saying whoever comes and votes, so it's basically 0. Do you want to sit there and say 0? We can say 0.
I would actually prefer to say what the town meeting had, but yeah, I'm fine with nothing 0
Well,
or 25.
Listen, if that's the case, Dennis, if the Charter Revision Commission wants to say 25, which is the threshold for the town meeting, can we say 25 and send it back to the Board of Selectmen, and can the Board of Selectmen pass that tonight
25 to show up at
at a referendum?
At a referendum?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, but you know what? If you do that, you're going to delay the process, and we are late as it is. And
I asked you a specific question. Can we do it 25 tonight from the
can
Charter
do it.
Revision Commission? And can we vote on that, the Board of Selectmen, right after this?
If you all agree on it, yes.
Yeah.
If both boards agree on it.
But I think what Bob was just trying to understand, are we putting ourselves back in that 15%? But you're saying from a legal perspective, Dennis, that's not the case, that by being silent on it in our charter, we can do that, and we could have less than 15% and a referendum is valid. from a legal perspective. That's your take?
Absolutely correct, Jody.
Okay, then I'm
Right.
okay, leave, however the Board of Selectmen suggested, then I'm fine with it. Bob, are you good?
I'm fine with things. I just wanted to get on the record exactly what you and I are discussing here so that
Okay.
nobody else can question it. Because in my
Yeah.
mind, this was an open question. I think it's been
Good.
resolved. I think
Yeah.
Dennis has stated the case eloquently and with sufficient detail, so we should just move on.
Okay, Karen, Adrian.
I think this goes back to intent. So as Dennis pointed out, because we have a home rule charter, and there was clear discussion. If there were some issue that came up later in time and someone challenged it, the fact that this board and the board of, or that the Board of Selectmen and the Charter Commission discussed it specifically, there has been made clear intent, and therefore there should not be an issue. If we had never discussed it at all, it might have been more of a problem, I would say.
Okay, so does the Charter Revision Commission wish to move forward with 0 or 25?
I think we actually have, didn't you make a motion to?
I did. We have a
did
motion
make a
on the
motion.
floor and
We have a
can all
motion
vote.
on the floor we need to address.
Yes, but
Right.
before we start to address it, if it's more applicable for everyone to put 25 in there, we could sit
No.
there as a Charter Revision Commission, 25 in there and move forward.
Yeah, I'm
No.
fine with what was drafted by the Board of Selectmen to remove it based on the comments, the discussion.
Okay.
Agreed. That's the motion. That's how, unless someone wants to modify the motion, that's the motion on the floor we need to vote on.
No, that's fine. All right, so any other discussion on this issue? All right, so the Charter Revision Commission, we're going to vote on this. So all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, so that is, everyone voted. It was unanimous, if I'm
Yes.
accurate. So 1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we have all 7 members of the Charter Revision Commission with us. It was 7-0. And so now we can move on. So I'm going to move back to the Board of Selectmen meeting. And so we now, the Board of Selectmen at our last special meeting, we voted to sit there and accept the draft with the change that the Charter Commission has now voted on and approved. And then we would move to ballot questions, which is item 4D.
Now or not?
I would like,
Well, Jeff, you could, do the formality of voting, of the Board of Selectmen voting to confirm the final report, that this is the final report of the Charter Commission,
You want whole lead?
removing that one set of
Not.
language.
Yeah.
all right, so
Beggars will not be choosers.
Okay.
Thank you.
let me make, I will make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approves the final draft of the Charter Revision Commission with the removal of the 10% threshold for ordinance referendums.
I'll second that.
Okay. Further discussion from the Board of Selectmen? Paula, you're still on with us, Paula?
Yeah, I'm trying to
Okay.
get on with my computer, but I didn't hear back from Eric, so I'm in the waiting room on my computer. Did you give him the host?
I did. Eric probably didn't recognize or realize that I gave him the host back.
Okay.
So Eric, if you could let Paula back in
We-
from the waiting room.
We still have no internet here.
You guys are still, he's still on. Anyway, Paula, you're on the phone, so let's vote on this. Is there any other discussion from any other members of the Board of Selectmen?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those that abstain? So Ann, you voted in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't hear you and didn't see the hand stay up. Okay. Now on to item 4D on the ballot questions. I would very much rather have the ballot questions hosted for a longer period of time and then come back and address the ballot questions. I do think we need to clean them up. So the members of the board need to provide to Dennis comments and requests on to how to improve those ballot questions. And then I would like to schedule a quick special meeting to move those ballot questions along, another Zoom meeting. If unless anyone has any objection to that, that's what I'd like to do with the ballot questions. I'd like them posted so that the residents see them right now. We refine them, then we repost them and get them sent to the Secretary of State's office. Anybody have a
Jeff,
problem with that?
I'd ask
Yeah.
a question.
Sure. I'll let
Would
you
you have
ask
any
me.
objection to Charter Commission members have it just giving some input? Can we
Absolutely.
just
Go ahead.
submit
Yeah.
something in writing? Would that be acceptable?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone from the public can submit requests or requirements. But what I'm saying is I don't want to go through the questions as they are drafted right now at this meeting and approve them. I don't think I'm prepared for it. I'm not sure if any of the other members of the board are prepared. And if they want to do it, then we can do it tonight. Anybody?
How would we submit
object?
our comments? How are
Well,
we
Ann,
going to
you would
submit our comments?
you would send an email to the board, and we would sit there and make sure that Dennis got them, and then we would address them all.
Directly to Dennis.
You know, it would be better just to send them to Eric. You know, all of our emails go to all the members of the Board of Selectmen, and Eric is copied, and then Eric can sit there and work with the town attorney, or I can work with the town attorney to sit there and make sure it gets done.
Okay.
All right. Paula, good to see you. And everybody, we need to give Paula a big thank you for the work she did on the grand opening celebration. She did a great job.
It was a team effort. So
the rec commission as well deserves a lot. Carol, thank you, and Anne Marie Daigle and Kim Hawes and everybody else from the rec commission that did it. Greatly appreciated. Okay. Does anybody have a problem with pushing the ballot questions off until a special meeting, which will happen within the next 2 weeks? Okay, then I'd like to do that. So we are now moving on to item 5, board and commission presentations, the library board of directors. And Eric, if this is not something that we continuously do, I think we just keep doing the library board of directors. Is there anybody from the library board of directors that wanted to speak to us? No.
Can I just ask a question? Can the Charter Revision Commission members sign off at this time?
Oh, you're members of the public and you can sign off whenever you'd like.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to the library board.
Yes, Diane.
I'm on the library board, and I believe that agenda item is Jeff Ballard with the Daniel Burnap clock location.
Okay.
It was kind
We're
of put on
still-
hold until after the community center was settled.
Okay, so we'll deal with that at another meeting.
Yes.
So
Okay,
do you
fine.
want it on the agenda in the future or not?
I believe that he's waiting for the Board of Selectmen to decide. I think he wants it, and the library board also, in the old community room, not the new community center.
Okay, we'll sit there and deal with this. Eric, this is something that you, me and Paula and anyone else from the Board of Selectmen that wants to participate, we'll figure out a spot for it. We'll determine if we can accept it. If we can't accept it, we'll get it off the agenda next meeting. All right. 5B, the community gardens, permission for solar panels and pump. I'm not seeing Jeff Ballard with us, but Eric, do you have info?
So that Jeff Ballard did share with me the proposal for doing that. I think what they had sized for solar panels and a solar pump would work, but I think it's a solution kind of searching for a problem personally. I mean, right now I don't see any problem with just using the hose from the community center rather than spending 4,000, some odd dollars to come up with a solar pumping solution. If we were out in the middle of a cornfield in Nebraska, I think that would be a great solution. Here, not so much.
Okay. We'll keep this on the agenda for next month if Jeff will come and share with us his thoughts. And we don't need it right now because we're at the end of our growing season. Okay. Item 6, appointments, community center and senior center director, CSC director. I like that.
So I sent you a copy of a proposed contract between the town and somebody who would take over the position as the senior center director. Hopefully most of you that you met them at the meeting. My suggestion is that if we're going to have a serious discussion about that, we do so in executive session. Unless you want to just vote on approval. If you don't have questions about the contract, you could just vote on approval now, or we could discuss it in executive session.
Let's try to get through this and we'll go into executive session on it quickly because we have the other contract that we have to deal with as well, I believe. So.
Correct.
All right, item 7, resignations.
We did get one resignation. It's not on here. Brian Briggs has notified the town that he is resigning from the Board of Finance because he's moving out of town.
Wasn't he also on the rec commission?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 2 vacancies. All right, good luck to Brian and his family. Thank you for volunteering, it's appreciated. Town administrators report, item 8.
So I did not send you a formal report this month. I was going to use my time as the administrator's report to go over the list of grants that we have going and just bring you up to speed on that. Unfortunately, that's sitting on my town computer and I'm borrowing the internet connection in our community center at the moment because we're still not online. So I just don't have that in front of me. So I'd be happy to answer any particular questions that the board has, but I don't have a formal report for you this month.
All right, how is all the road work going with the Public Works Department?
So far, road work has gone well. Now what we need to do is re-engage on drainage work because we let a lot of that slip this summer while we were dealing with community center and some other things. So that's going to be the next task up is getting back in, and we need some sort of solution on Aspinall Drive. We have one really bad spot in that road. And then we need to get back to working on Skinner Hill Road. That's really kind of the next priorities right now in terms of public works is drainage.
Are they using a new tractor, Eric? I thought I saw
Yes.
the old tractor out.
Oh, the new one.
The new tractor they're using the new tractor.
Yeah, I was going up Long Hill this afternoon, doing mowing.
They were out using the sweeper on Lake this morning. I'm just saying, I'm stating a fact, but I'm asking how has the sweeper been working? Because it's kind of late from my standpoint. I mean,
Well, so the problem just is we have to sweep from time to time when we get these heavy gravel events and heavy rain events, especially on Lake, and there's a couple other roads where we get persistent material washing into the road. So we often will sweep. This is not the normal spring sweeping. This is just us addressing that because, we've had problems with stuff washing into the road lately.
all right. Anything else related to Public Works that we should be aware of?
Nope, not at this point.
Okay. Any of the other selectmen, select people have any questions for Eric specifically related to any open items?
Eric, any update on the welcome to Andover signs or sign?
We've paid our half. We've had some correspondence with them back and forth, but I don't know that it's they finished building it yet. I haven't gotten any notification to that effect.
So it's the ball's in their court right now?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then just as one thing, because I never, we really probably should put this on here, is where is the And Scott, I think you're on it. Where is the field committee, or where is the committee on the new grant related to the pickleball and the field and the playground?
Right now,
Eric, you can answer it, or?
we're waiting for the formal engineer drawing. Everything should be done, but we're waiting for him to formalize it so he can bring it to a meeting. We had a meeting with him last week. We changed a few things, and he's supposed to be bringing it back to us so we can have a meeting with him with the full committee.
Okay.
That's all we're waiting for. A lot of the other stuff is all done.
And Eric, the timing on that grant, just so we're aware?
In terms of what?
Well, I would like that done as soon as possible, personally. So I'm
Sure.
asking you is, when can we access that? What are the parameters for doing that? What's required? So
Okay.
that's you.
Well, I think the kind of the next thing we have to come back with them is, a final set of engineered proposals of what we're going to do with the final cost estimate. And then we have to go out to RFP to select a bidder for it. And then once we have that, then, we have to go through, I don't think we have to go through SHPO, but we will have to go through CHRO. And satisfy CHRO. And then once we have them signed off, we should be able to award the contract.
Okay, and if you sat there and set a timeline on this, what would you give us?
I'd say we'd be in construction in the spring, would be my guess.
So spring of 2025.
Yep, that would be my
Okay.
guess.
All right, and then just because it's on top of my mind here, the grant, or yeah, it is a grant. The grant that we got for the senior transportation storage. Where are we with that one?
We're not any farther than we were 6 months ago. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I pretty much put that one on hold until we got the community center done. So that's kind of my next, that's my next focus at this point.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you we got the community center done. So now when are we doing that one?
Well, now we go back to the State Historic Preservation Society and say you need to get your act together and approve our final plan, which you've had for the last year. And once we do that, then that should be pretty close to, depending on how we do that. Depending on whether we go the design build route again, or whether we decide to hire an architect, or a designer to design it, that's either ready to go to RFP or we got to go through the architecture portion first.
Okay. Because the community center went so well, I would suggest you leverage the group that did that building to sit there and get Ed Cerisley and Adrian and Scott and Jeff Murray and people with those types of technical skills all together, and let's get that one rolling as fast as we can, because obviously storing the equipment for the senior transportation is beneficial, but also as I've discussed with you, I think utilizing the upper floors that you can create in that building for storage for the community will be a benefit, because obviously there's storage always becomes a problem for organizations like the Rec Commission or Public Works or seniors. So if we can provide garage space on the upper part of of that building, it would be beneficial. And I'm talking unconditioned, or it doesn't need heating and anything else. It just needs a space that we can put basketballs, or we can put things during the off season, so that it'd be beneficial to the entire community. So let's get working on that one too, so we can sit there and at least one of these projects a year, Eric, would be beneficial. It would be nice to have a new grand opening for something else, because I think it does show the town what we're doing and how much we're getting accomplished. So, anybody else for Eric?
Just one question. We're all set. We're all set with a single and double chip right on all the roads and the sweeping.
I would suspect we'll sweep those roads one more time at some point before the fall. But they've all been swept twice, and we're not doing any more chip sealing. We're done with chip seal for the year.
Yeah, I was very happy with the result once everything kind of settled out. It seems like this contractor was much better, and the aggregate is a lot smoother than the other stuff that we put down in the previous year. So we definitely use them again.
Good job, Eric. Right. All right. Anybody else?
I have one question
Sure.
for Eric about Public Works. Is that when are they going to get around to moving the stop sign on Woodfern and Shadlow?
Interestingly, you say that. I reminded Mr. Tuttle the other day that they needed to get that addressed. And he promised me they would address that reasonably soon. But I mean, understand too, we have years of backlogs of projects. So it's really just a question of priorities, and is that really the priority? So, you know, I will admit I've diverted them quite a bit to work on stuff and get the community center to the finish line. And I put them behind in a lot of the projects, you know, that Public Works had planned on doing this summer. But, you know, that was the only way we were going to get the senior center and community center across the finish line. So we needed to do it.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, if not, we'll move on to item 9, old business, 9A, community center construction update. Do we have anything that we need to talk about there, Eric?
Yeah, so the last real major hurdle in the community center construction is getting the exterior lighting poles on. That was supposed to have been done by the open house, but it was not. So I'm going to be talking to Eric again in a couple of days and figuring out what their plan is now to address that. Because they kind of screwed up the installation of that, which I was not real happy with. But that will get addressed.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, not relative to the construction.
Okay.
Did we ever find the projector screen?
No, that's still lost in shipping. I still got to get back with Amazon and figure out how they're going to address it. You know.
All right, let me know, because we'll get that set up for the seniors for their first matinee movie or whatever they want to watch.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice to get that in and done, and to make it usable as a meeting space too.
Yep.
And while we're, you know, it's one of the things that Eric, I noticed, and Scott, you might be able to help, because you talked about your house and how it has the same acoustical issues. We do need to fix that. We need to work on that, especially in that building. It really does have a lot of chatter in it, and you know, even worse when it's only a few people. So if we can put up some tiles and make that space a little bit better for hearing, it would be better for the seniors.
I put up only 6 at my house, and it made a huge difference.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thing you could do is put up some sort of curtains, balance, something like that. Fabric in the room would help to deaden the sound too.
Right.
Okay. And if you'd like to get with Scott and work on that, that would be wonderful. It would be greatly appreciated. All right, item 9B, discussion of blight and level of involvement. Eric, any issues related to the blight ordinance and current status of where we're at?
No, nothing that you don't already have.
Okay. 9C Charter Revision Committee, we reviewed all that, so I don't think there's any more need to go into that. 9D Board of Selectmen Future Goal Meeting. Do we have a date scheduled for that, Eric?
You have not chosen a date for that.
Okay. That is something that we should put on our calendar. Actually, you know what? Let's do that in our next regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting. Let's not schedule any more new meetings. We already got enough on our plate and meetings. So, Eric, please put that on the agenda for next month. And
Okay.
to the members of the board, please come with 2 or 3 ideas of what you would like to sit there and see us focus on. So as Eric is building out the budget, if we can come to some agreement on global themes and where we would like to get the town to, we can work them into the budget and how we sit there and present to the Board of Finance. All right, is that acceptable to everybody?
These are in reference budget?
No, just goals. Like, what would you like to see the community do? Like, I mean, I have a goal that would probably not take any money. I'd like to get more people to volunteer for functions within the community. That's not going to take any money, but that's a goal that I would like to set, and we'd sit there and do it. I'd like to work with Tess and the new CSC to sit there and see more recreational activities provided to the community that won't cost any money. Hopefully it'll just get us together and allow us to, back when Andover was really small, the community got together because they didn't have the internet, they didn't have recreational stuff. They went to church and they went to their town meetings and they participated. Now that we're 2,500 voters and 3,000 and some on residents, we don't get together like that. Like Saturday was a great day as far as I'm concerned, because that was 100 people and listen, that's 100 people out of 2,500. That's not like we crushed it, but it was great to sit there and see those 100 people all come out. And that's what we have to try to do more often, because we're a small town. We don't have a lot of money, but we have to participate a lot more. So those are my goals, like certain things, Scott, that I would bring up. So if you bring things like that, and if you have a functional thing that we need to sit there and try to spend some money on because it's important for the town, bring it up. Let's sit there and see if we can put it in the budget.
So I have one suggestion for that, and I was going to suggest, and I spoke to him and he's willing to do it, that if we're going to do a real goal setting planning session, that we have the town planner facilitate that, because that's what he does.
Okay.
Is that acceptable to the commission?
I think it's acceptable to the board. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
And Eric, it will make it much more, it would make it a lot better and a lot easier for us on our meeting if you get with a planner and the planner gets us how he wants us to present the ideas to him in beforehand, so he can be prepared to have a conversation with us and we're not just dragging the meeting out longer than it needs to. So let's do some advanced planning and do our P's so that we can sit there and be as efficient as we possibly can.
Can I ask all the members of the board to email myself and the planner ahead of time? What are the ideas that you want to put forward as your ideas, so we can kind of collate them and group them, and then we can have a discussion on them?
I'm going to suggest this. You send out an email to the planner and to all the members of the board stating this is what they're going to do, and we all respond to that email chain. Is that acceptable to
Okay,
everybody
that's
else?
fine.
Yeah. And give
then
us
we're
a
all on
give
the
us a
same email
deadline.
chain.
And give us a deadline, a date.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
Good sports.
Yeah.
So we'll have this all prepared for the next meeting. It'll be one of our agenda items in the September meeting.
Okay, and one other thing on that line, I asked the incoming senior center / community center director and the town planner to work together jointly, because one of the first things I think we need to do is we need to survey the residents, and we need to ask a bunch of pointed questions about the community center and senior center, like, what services does the public really want? And once we get enough feedback about what people want to do, then we'll schedule programs around that. That's what I'm hoping to do with that in the short term. Unless you all have any objections to that.
I think that's a good idea. Anybody else? Problems? No? Okay. All right, let's move on to 9E, ordinance for the dogs on the field. Even though this should get done right away, we'd have to go to town meeting. What does everybody want to do related to this item? I mean, we've had this problem for, at least 2 to 3 years. Is it gonna overwhelm us right now, or do we want to wait and see what happens in November? And if it doesn't pass, then we call a town meeting right away.
I think we start working on it. I think we start putting the language together.
Okay. So I'll sit there. I'll sit there and I'll get with Dennis about that language. We should be able to sit there and take that from another municipality. So I'll get with Dennis. We'll have something on the board for next month.
Yeah, because Jeff, whatever route we take, we got to get this done. It's just it's been a recurring problem.
Yeah, understood. Okay, I'll do that for next month. Item 10, new business, discuss and act upon certificate of adoption. Eric, what does that mean for us?
Sure. In your packet, you'll see a resolution to adopt the Capital Region National Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan update. So by state law, towns are required to have a hazard mitigation plan. So because most towns were lacking and actually doing them, the towns or the state kind of assigned that responsibility to the COGS, in our case, the Capital Regional Council of Governments. So the CROG hired a team from Yukon to develop this. This is something I've seen and sent the board at least one draft previously of this. So this is basically their final report back, which takes in a lot of feedback from myself, fire chief, blah, blah, blah. People involved in the hazard mitigation plan. So, but now that they've done the work and they have a plan, the board has to formally adopt it before it's effective. So I would just ask you as a board to adopt the plan, so we can move forward.
Somebody want to make that motion? Okay, I will. Let's just make this motion. 1 second, I gotta get back to it. I make a motion that we approve the resolution adopting the Capital Region Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan update for 2024 to 2029.
I'll second.
All right, further discussion?
What
All those
is
in
the plan? What is the plan? It doesn't tell us. It just says it's a resolution adopting it. I don't want to vote on something. I don't know what it is.
Then you have to go read it.
I mean, I read what's in our packet. It doesn't really tell me.
We've adopted that. Okay, so it's a natural hazard mitigation plan. So if we have a monstrous natural disaster, that the plan that is put in place by CROG will assist us to go through it, because we as a community are not going to sit there and draft our own plan. If you'd like to go read it, you can go read it.
Where is it?
So it's on the CROG website, or
CROG
CREC, or
website,
whatever it
okay.
is. Where is it? So does anyone have a problem with approving the resolution to adopt the regional group that we belong to as a community for a natural hazardous mitigation?
We have previously signed
Done
that.
this. Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
I actually think this board did it twice.
Yeah. Two times.
If you want to wait and you want me to get you a copy of the plan and read through the plan, but my question is, how many of you will actually sit there and read through the plan? If that's what you want to do, I will get you the plan.
Then just get the plan. When does this need to go out?
They can wait another month.
Okay, fine.
How big
Please,
of a thing is this?
I'll bet you it's over
Is it-
50 pages, Ann. So anyway, Eric, send it to us. If
I'd
Ann
like
wants to
even a
read,
brief idea of what it is.
no problem. I have no
I'm
problem
new
with
to
you
this.
requesting that. Yeah. So Eric, we'll put on signing that off till September. All right. Please send
Sure.
us the full PDF, and then that way we can look at it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Item 11, approval of the minute meetings from the July 8th, 2024 regular meeting.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of the July 8th, 2024 regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Wow.
All right.
I wasn't here, so.
For further discussion. All those in favor? Aye. All right. All those opposed? All those that abstain?
Same.
All right.
I wasn't here.
401. Okay. All right. Item 12, treasurer's report. That was in our package. Eric, two things for me.
Yep.
One is, please have, this all works in conjunction. The tax collector's report flows into the revenue side of this. And so please get the revenues posted so that when we're looking at these, we understand what's up. So I'm not sitting there saying they're not in the bank account. I just don't know where they are in relation to the document that we're looking at. Because when I look at our budgeted revenue of $12,702,000, and I don't see anything posted for the first month, even if it's just a rolling number, it should be there, so we're all good with it. Okay, so that's one. And then the other one is in reviewing the expenses, the checks, I should say, there's something called Spring. Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah.
I noticed that too.
Spring
Thinking
is-
alike, Scott.
Yeah.
I want to say spring is the actual insurance payments that we're making.
It's quite possible. They're really big payments. There's two.
Yeah.
There's two. So if you can just get an understanding for that for us, because that would help me understand like the larger expenses. Because I mean that's what I do when I go through this. I look and I'm assuming like Santander Bank has some specific issue that I'd like to know that as well. Like when you write as the payee or the name Santander Bank, I'd like to know what it's for, and I will continue to ask you specific questions like that stuff, just so we can.
Sure.
So Spring and Santander Bank were two that to me, I was like, I didn't understand them exactly. And then the other one was just CN Wood of Connecticut.
CN Wood supplies equipment to Public Works. They're the company that has the contract that deals with our sweeper. And I think we have there's some other things we buy from them. Those are typically vehicle related Public Works expenses.
Okay. And the payment to the state of Connecticut was in July was for the state trooper for prior year.
Correct. That was the big payment. Yep.
Okay.
But it was less than we forecast, which was good.
Okay. And corner contracting related to the community center?
Cormer Contracting, that's the chip seal, the company that does chip seal for us.
All right. Comer. I'm sorry. I read that wrong.
Comer. Yeah.
My bad. Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions related to the treasurer's report? Okay. We'll move on to the tax collector's report. So July is a big month. July was a $3,359,058 collection month in the month of July. So that's all the real estate, personal property, and motor vehicle payments all in one. So it'll be the biggest month of the year. All right, any other questions related to that?
No, I mean, all the motor vehicles are due. But we rarely get, I mean, you know, we got we got almost 3/4 of that in the first quarter. The rest will trickle in during the year as people realize they have to pay to renew their stuff.
Understood. Great. We have 3 refund requests on page 38 of the package. So my favorite thing, and I'll probably be on one of these soon, but I'll make a motion that we pass, we provide 3 refunds. I don't have the total amount for these, but it's,
159.38.
oh, there it is, 159.38. So total tax refunds for $159.38.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Move on to that. Okay, departmental reports in the package. There is the assessor's report. Anybody have any questions on any of the information that was?
Yeah, the building department used to give us a report for all the permits, where the permits were issued to. You know, and I didn't see that this time.
I know I've seen this global page, so total building permits, total zoning permits, total
Right, yeah,
wetlands permits.
the overall page is there, but there used to be specific to all the permits and where they were, who they were issued to.
Yeah.
And the houses or whatever it was.
You want a list of all the names of everybody that
Well,
pulled a permit in a month?
no, I'm just questioning if that is what happened previously, right?
If it's available, why not, Eric?
I remember it.
I mean, if it's not, you know, I know we have this new system, so if it's accessible from the new system without a tremendous amount of work.
Right. I don't want anybody to work.
Yeah.
I'm just questioning that I used to see that
But
information.
it's still, yeah, no problem. And it's still, like, I would like to sit there and see a little profit and loss for the building department to understand how the building department is doing versus its overall expenses, because as we issue building permits, we should look at, as a town, that we want to cover at a bare minimum the cost of the clerk and the building inspector as best we possibly can. And it would help for us to have that type of summary, Eric, and that way we can understand whether we need to be looking at raising those permit fees to increase our revenue drive so that we can cover those basic expenses for that department. So we got that.
I think at least it used to be who the contractor was, what they were doing. Something like that.
First of all, every single permit that's applied for in Permit Link is public record. And you could simply go on Permit Link and look at every single one that you want to.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. That's when it changed, huh?
So
when we got Permit Link.
I'm just trying to figure out what other data from Permit Link I can give you. I'll have to work with Lynn on that.
Well, see if there's something available, and then we can all go on permanently just to sit there and familiarize ourselves. But really, this is just a global thing for me. Is the building department should be able to fund itself as best we possibly can, because if it's not funding itself, then we have time issues, like who's doing what when. And I know your building inspector goes out and does a lot. And I know the zoning enforcement officer has, is also tied up in all this too. So I'm not being critical. I'm just saying is a global sense, we should really look at it as it needs to generate enough money to cover itself as best we can without town having to put taxpayer dollars into funding that department. Okay, anybody else have any other questions? I mean, the only other two reports, like I said, we had a assessor's report in this package. And we had the senior transportation report in this one and the registrar of voters. Those were the three reports that I see in my package, unless I'm inaccurate. Is that what I'm seeing, Eric, or those are the three?
No, that's correct. The only other thing I wanted to highlight is that we did just get through with 6 days of early voting, which almost nobody went to. Just in labor costs alone, this vote cost us about $750 for every single vote cast, just in personnel cost. Now, the good news is the state foot the bill for that, but you know, unless they come through with another appropriation, which they may or may not do, we're about to have run through all the money that the state gave us for early elections. And it's going to maybe be worse because certainly in the fall election, there's 14 days of early voting required, whereas this election only had 6 days of early voting. And most of the days, you know, we had 2 personnel here for between 10 and 12 hours a day, because early voting has pretty long hours and got exactly 0 people that came and voted. Now, it wasn't primary and it wasn't a, you know, one that was particularly well publicized, but I'm hoping that the state revisits its scheme for doing early voting because we're spending an awful lot of money for essentially no additional participation from the public.
I have a, oh, go ahead, Jeff. You were going to say something?
No, Scott, go. Yeah, no. You're
So
up.
are you done with the voting thing, Eric? I got another question for you.
Oh, I want to go back to the voting thing, so you can give me a second. So that's something that we need to talk to Steve Ware and MD about, because that's something like why are we forcing our registrars of voters to do this in a primary? I mean, there's not enough voting in those anyway. So I understand November. I get what they're trying to do with November, but we need to go back to them and talk to them.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff, because small,
ridiculous.
we're a small municipality. We're not a big urban city, and it's just, it's a huge time and money suck just to spend on the amount of people that are actually participating. It might work in Bridgeport or New Haven or Hartford, but it's just not a good model for Andover.
I agree, and I think what's going to happen, Jeff, is that what you'll find is you're going to do this on a primary and force us to do it on a primary. I mean, you don't get anybody coming to vote. Anyway, we need to do it. We need to talk to them because it's going to be an unfunded mandate, and we're going to end up getting stuck with it, and we shouldn't.
A bill at some point, right?
Yeah, and
They're going to make the towns pay.
Yeah, we're not the only community that's probably dealing with this at this point. So I'm sure there's many communities that are probably going to get a lot of pushback from smaller towns. So hopefully something will get.
And for the record, tomorrow is elections. So if you're a Republican, feel free to come down and cast your vote tomorrow for your favorite Senate candidate.
All right. That is something we'll have to deal with. Okay. Any other questions on anything else?
Yeah, I have a question for Eric.
Yep.
I have a question for Eric. I forgot to ask you on your administrator's report, but is there any new news on what's now that the community center is nearly finished? What is going on with the engineer report for the school? Have you heard anything?
No.
Or who they're going to pick for an engineer or anything going on with that?
Well, I don't know. One would presume that if they had an engineer that they wanted to choose, since the Board of Selectmen is the building owner, that they would present that to the Board of Selectmen. It would have been nice as a courtesy to allow me to know who that person was and actually meet them ahead of time, which is certainly what I did when I found an engineer to give us an estimate for the building. You know, and made sure that the school board was notified and the principal was notified and they were there when we did the walkthrough of the building. But I have not heard anything back from anybody on that end of things.
And it appears you have some information
Yeah.
for us.
I know that they are working with an engineering company, or a company that will cover a lot of different things. I don't remember the name of it. I do know they're actively working on that and have found a company they like. I'm not sure what else is done, but I do know they've been working on it.
So
Are they
Eric,
paying
Check with
for it
Valerie,
themselves then?
she knows.
Eric, we'll get to that. So I will reach out to Celeste and I'll ask Celeste where they're at and what they're doing. So let me get through this meeting and I'll do that. And Eric, if they're moving forward with that and they haven't communicated with us, which I know is your issue, then yes, where the money's coming from is going to be problematic.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
I know we had a couple emails going back and forth about the gym fans. Has that been rectified as far as, do we need to make a motion tonight or do anything to move that project ahead, or is that just in the Board of Finance's plate right now?
So the kind of the holdup with that, Jeff, there were two issues. One was that the company wanted to do the gym floors as soon as possible, so they had the maximum amount of cure time before the kids came back. And there was no way we're getting the fans done ahead of time before that. And the second thing is that the bill for installation was pretty high, and that assumes having Lenco do the commissioning also, because bringing in the company to do the commissioning was also pretty expensive. So that's a high enough bill that really either technically needs to go to RFP, or I gotta go to the Board of Finance and request an exception for that, which they may or may not grant. Part of the reason why I wanted to slow roll that project for a while was because we spend an awful lot of money out of the building maintenance fund dealing with the HVAC in the town hall, as well as all the electrical work that was done. And I needed to wait until I got the LoSiP money reimbursed to the town for those projects. Because frankly, I didn't want to run over budget until I knew I was getting reimbursed from the state from the other work. So I got one reimbursement check. The other one got bounced back to me because I had a rounding error and I was off 41 cents in my submission. So I have resubmitted that, rounded correctly. So I think we can revisit that, but that is going to be a fairly expensive project, and I think we want to kind of look at that. And I'd be happy to go over that with you offline if you want. But
Yeah, that sounds good. I just think long-term energy savings in that gym is, it's going to be worth it, even if we do have a high initial cost. So yeah, let's get together and talk about that.
okay, not a problem.
Okay, anybody else for Eric before we move on? Okay, we're gonna go to item 15, correspondence. Eric, nothing? Good. We'll move on to item 16, public speak. Diane Grenier?
There I am. Oh, good grief.
There you go.
I know. Nothing to add or whatever. Just thank you all. It's a good meeting like always. I think you guys hold a very good meeting, and I'm one of the few people that stay till the end. So
All right.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane.
Thanks, Dan. Jody Gross?
Thanks, Jeff. I was actually hoping Bob was going to stay on because I wanted to thank him for chairing the Charter Commission. I think Bob did an excellent job, wanted to give him that recognition. We had healthy debate on just about every issue, and really our focus was around government, governmental efficiency, right? Helping make our town run easier, better, more efficient, becoming more of not a town of 1,000 people, but a town of over 3,000 people. So things like a real professional, ensuring that we get a professional in as a clerk and not just a popularity contest every 4 years. We've been fortunate to have Carol, but just a great group of people, healthy debate with folks like Adrian, et cetera. And just appreciated the Board of Selectmen for really seeing that in all of those items, supporting them with the one modification. So great job in such a short period of time. I also heard Ann say the stop sign is going to get moved, and that one actually directly impacts me. So it sounds like there's a stop sign moving from Shadblow to or Woodfern to
From
Shadblow.
Woodfern to Shadblow.
Yeah, and I walk my dogs twice a day using that crosswalk of the sidewalk that actually goes right in front of that stop sign. And so I guess I'm disappointed to hear that the town is planning to move that, because cars do fly down there. None of the people on this call, but I do see cars moving very fast because I'm literally the house or 2 houses after that stop sign and they accelerate. So I'm a little scared that I'll be walking without that. And I guess I would be okay if we were going to add a stop sign.
That's what I was just gonna say, Jody. Why don't we just add one?
As opposed to
Maybe we
removing
could,
or
but
changing.
we really
that
need
one
one on
that's there.
Shadblow.
I'm sorry?
We really need one on Shadblow because
That
we've
would be
had near
fine to
accidents
add
there.
one, but if you're gonna be removing it, that's not a great look, because you're there's a crosswalk there.
Because
And
everybody comes up Dogwood. There's no stop sign at Dogwood, yet people coming
Northern-
the opposite way on Woodfern have a stop sign.
yeah, coming up Shadblow, there could be a stop sign. Is that where you were gonna put it?
Yeah, right.
That makes sense, but I would leave that one there that's there and simply add another because there's a crosswalk there. And I walk that twice a day with my dogs and my wife, and I don't want to get run over. So
Make it
is
so,
that my
Eric.
2 cents?
Hold on. You all are the local traffic authority. I'm just your agent. So if you want 2 stop signs, you need to vote for 2 stop signs. That's your decision, not mine, certainly.
Jeff Murray, do you have a say in any of this? What say you?
I don't know. I've been, to be honest with you, that stop sign on Shadwell, I mean, I've been there in the winter months when I get to that intersection because people don't realize that there is a pretty good grade there because I ride up my bicycle up there quite a bit. It's probably like a good 3% grade. And putting the stop sign up there on an intersection where we're going to move it, I started to think after the fact that it may be difficult in the winter months. And I kind of see Jody's point. I kind of think protecting that crosswalk there is, I didn't really think about that when we first approved that, but I think that, he does have a good observation and I do see him walking a lot. So he does have a good ear, and a good point with that. So I don't know. It's not a very big traveled road. So but I definitely see protecting that crosswalk is probably a good thing. I don't know. Maybe we need to look at it a little bit more.
I think if anybody, you need a stop sign on the Dogwood side more than you need it on the Woodfern side because the crosswalk is right there at the end of Dogwood. People come up that hill on Dogwood and just go right on through.
I'll tell you what, Eric, we'll put it off till next month and we'll all go out and see that. And I'll take my dog over there and Jody and I can go for a walk.
Yeah, and I would suggest maybe just pure suggesting the people that live right there, that guy in the corner, Dave, probably have a conversation
he
with
wants
him.
the stop sign moved.
What's that?
He does want it moved.
He wants
Dave
that
wants
stop
that
sign
stop
moved.
sign moved to Shadblow.
Really? Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I've talked to him.
let's get together and next month we'll come up with a definitive plan. And Jody, just from the standpoint, I appreciate your efforts on the Charter Revision Commission, and I would recommend. I'm a big believer in the smartest possible people participating in government, and I would ask you to get involved if you have the time, when you have the time. I think you'd be a really good fit. So knowing that you're a
Thanks, Jeff.
registered Republican, go over to the Republican Town Committee and get on something. Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, I don't care what it is. I think you'd be a great fit.
Great.
We do
thanks.
have
Appreciate
we
that.
do have an opening on the Board of Finance.
Maybe I'll talk to Adrian and understand what that really means. So,
All right.
all right. I'm gonna sign
Okay.
off. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Jody. All right. I think we are done with public speak. I don't have anybody else left. So we're going to
Who's
move on to
Community Voice Channel.
that is the people who do the taping of for the
Oh,
community
okay.
channel. So we're going to now move to executive session. So I'll make a motion. We move to executive session.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Eric, if
Aye.
you can, and we're inviting Eric, my bad. So Eric, if you can stop the recording and, eliminate the community voice.